Welcome back to part 2 of Partner Insights featuring Danielle Hurel, VP of Cybersecurity and Next Generation Solutions at Westcon. We've got lots more to get through, so let's dive back into discussions focusing on partnerships, particularly strategic partnerships and their importance. So another thing that you talked about was business planning. And I always find, I wish there was a more attractive or sexy word for business planning than business planning. But can you, it is a very core part of a strategic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about, and your team does it very well and you drive your team to do it very well. Can you talk about some of the key components, how a vendor has to show up in that business planning process in working with Westcon?
I think that the multi-year perspective is key. Where do you want to go in 3 years? Because for me, 5 years is too long. 3 years is long enough. And we need to have this kind of business planning where we set things very simple. Okay. Of course, we could go through the details, or the team could go through the details, but we need to make sure that what we're talking about is very simple. And I was talking about the overall goal. Okay, how much we want to do, $100 million, for example. Okay, and the $100 million. Okay, how could we build it? Okay, what kind of channel, what kind of technology we will bring to the channel, what kind of resources, skills, knowledge, activities we need to have. And we, as I said, we don't need to go to all the details, but we need to have the headlines just to make sure that when we go back to the teams, okay, they understand well what they need to do on, let's say, on the front side, but also on the back side. System integration is key. If that would be an EDI and APIs, or it would be, the full system integration with your Salesforce, our system as well. This is critical. The strategic piece, business planning, most of the time is just about the commercial. It should not be only the commercial, because we need to make sure that the foundation also, when it comes to the system, okay, we will be set up. Then you have all these new changes in the market, change of environment. We need to be where the customer wants to buy. Transaction, okay, with the resellers, but there is a new players, okay, the hyperscalers, the marketplaces. Okay, what is your marketplace? What is my marketplace? Could we integrate both marketplaces? Could we work with an AWS? This is critical in a business planning session between execs who most of the time have the answers and have the information, just to share that on a confidential way, just to make sure that we could build for the next, as I said, for the next 3 years. Business planning session, for me, needs to address commercial, but also the background at a very high level.
Yeah. What's critical for me in any strategic partnership, and is, in the role that I play and the role that you play, for example, we are both executive sponsors of our joint business plan.
Correct.
And that goes two ways, right? It's one, taking a look at all of those areas, whether it's the marketing investment, the enablement investment, the sales alignment, the IT and system integration, the cloud strategy, making sure that we're digging into those, going back to our organizations and ensuring that they work for that business plan.
Mm-hmm.
But also then making sure that all of those actions, the objectives, tie back to long-term strategic goals, long-term vision of the company. What are some ways that you make sure that your vendors are aligned to your long-term goals? And I can talk about what we do as well, but how do you ensure that long-term alignment?
We need to have frequent reviews, business reviews, okay, at least twice a year at the exec level. But we need also to have QBRs, right, just to make sure that the local teams also understand what we want to achieve and execute the plan, right? And this is a people market. So we need to make sure that our people, my people, your people are fully aligned with what we want to achieve in the market. So to make sure that this is a success, first of all, I will not repeat that. but it's between people and needs to be simple. It's very, very simple. Okay. The perspective should be a midterm perspective, and we need to have some milestones. Okay, where should we be in 3 months? Where should we be in 6 and 9, 12, blah blah blah, and then we have, when we meet twice a year, say, okay, so we are ahead from where we should, or we are behind. So what should we do to fine tune it, adjust it, to make sure that this is a mutual success?
How do you think strategic partnerships and all that investment we make drive innovation in the industry
Oh,
and for Westcon?
so we have vendor partners in our portfolio, but we could share the best practices, things that we know work. For example, a few years back, I was talking to my main contacts within the vendor land, and I asked them, "What are you doing with the marketplaces?" Because I could see that there is a trend. And if you remember well, 2 years ago, there is not a lot of people who are talking about marketplaces. Okay, maybe a few exceptions.
Yeah, it was also very, if a channel manager ever came to me with a deal that had a marketplace and a distributor involved, it was confusing, right? It just didn't make sense in our brains from
Yeah.
the traditional way we used to go to market.
But now that the hyperscalers also structure their way to the market, for example, DSO with the AWS, now the distribution also has a role to play in this. So the go-to-market is critical, and as I said, we need to be where the customer wants to buy. Okay, and it's not just about the transaction; it's also about everything that happened in the market. Okay, if the end user say, "Oh, you know what? I have an EDP or PPA now, it's called, with AWS, and I want to burn that down," uh, the, what the vendor could do, you say yes. Okay, they need to find a way.
Yeah. And your aggregation, right, within that conversation provides a lot of leverage for us. So I'm going to bring it all together, right? Strategic partners and strategic investments in innovation. One of the things that Westcon does really well are making those investments that drive innovation, that drive the growth of your partnerships. So I want to talk about some of the investments you've designed to do that. As an example, 3D Labs. Did you want to talk about how that really pulls everything together for you, from partnerships, innovation, market timing, and all that?
Yeah, it's it has been a couple of years. We try to find a way to say, how could we be more positively aggressive with the channel? How could we make sure that what the market needs are could be addressed by our resellers? And who are the decision makers when it comes to select the technologies? And we all know, you, me, Michelle, that salespeople are good, okay, but when it comes to technology, it's solution architects that will make the call. So we decided to double down on the investment on the solution architect. So we didn't reinvent the wheel, but we built a unique community called Tech Expert. Okay. Now it's about 3,000 engineers in EMEA. Um, and the 3,000 engineers, they could challenge each other, because we set up a platform that connects for them to exchange, to ask questions, to share their challenges, and they have also access to what we call the 3D lab, which is a virtual demo environment. So 3D lab for 3 dimension. The first dimension is access one vendor technology they want to put their hands on. They want to be certified. They want to know more about one technology. The second dimension is the full integration of multi technologies coming from multi vendors, which is unique on the market. What value could bring an Ivanti technology to an ITSM, for example? Okay, so what the VPN SSL or the ZTA now from Ivanti could bring to an existing infrastructure with the next gen firewall. And if you go to the different vendors and different technology, it will take you weeks to get access and to integrate these two technologies. And we are talking about two vendors. If you had another one and another one and another one, you could spend weeks before you have access to the full solutions. We put that together, and 48 hours after, you can have access to those technologies. Okay. The third dimension is the use case. Sometimes so the reseller call us and say, "What do you have for ransomware?" Okay, I want to protect my end user against the ransomware. I want to reduce the attack surface also. How could you help me? So they go to the third dimension when we have all the blueprints for the ransomware, for the attack surface reduction, and they have access in 48 hours. So we put a lot of investment behind this platform, behind this tool, to make sure that we could be quick on the market, and the reseller could have their, let's say, the solutions, okay, in a very short period of time, just to make sure that the time to market is also shorter, and they could demonstrate or showcase the value of our vendor technologies, okay, and in with the existing infrastructure. And that was a success. Last year, we have more than 1,600 access requests. And that build, we closed, thanks to this, a little bit more than $50 million, untouched by the vendors, and completely untouched by the vendors.
Yeah. That's, nirvana, right? It's what we're after.
Yeah. And I challenged my team to do more this year, and we decided to open that also to some hyperscalers environment, because more and more we were asked to demonstrate the value of the technology in an AWS environment, for example. And we were asked also to divide in two environments, one for the enablement and the other one for the POC or the POCs or the POVs. So there is some ongoing, motion to make sure that we could help our channel to master the technology and bring that to the market.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you first presented this to our SE leader, and he called me right up and he said, "This is great. We are doing this." So he really enjoys it to this day. That person now looks after our EMEA region, Dave Shepard, and he relies on you a lot. So
Thank you.
we could talk forever, and we do often. But before we wrap up, I'd like to ask you, is there one thing that you'd like to leave for the audience today to think about around what we discussed?
So I think that the executive, or let's say the strategic relationship between Ivanti and Westcon, and it's not just about technology. Once again, it's about people.
Okay.
It's not just about the transaction, because you could use also our marketplace, your marketplace, also the hyperscalers marketplaces. We could facilitate. This is what we want to do. We want to facilitate the access to the technology, but also the channel to specify your technologies, also to give them all the capabilities that we have financially, of course, with the financial solutions, but also transactionally, also onto the everything around the technical side with 3D Lab or the Tech Expert. They can trust you, Ivanti and us, on the ESG point of view as well, because this is critical for us. But in one word, we facilitate.
And I would say you invest off the back of personal and strategic relationships. So it's important to us. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. I also thank you for the partnership. I've worked with you for some time here at Ivanti and before, and it's always an honor. So
Thank you so much, Michelle. I was very happy to have this conversation with you today.